Yo, what's going on YouTube? Stube here, and today we're going to do something a little bit different, trying a different camera setup, so let me know in the comments below if this works out. But today we're going to look at some Palkia Ice Rider. I know we've uploaded a lot of Palkia decks, and in the past, if you've watched any of the Twitch streams, I used to play a absolute ton of Ice Rider. I was inspired a little bit by Frank Persick with this deck, as well as a few others floating around, but this is honestly super fun. I played this at locals recently. I'm probably going to play it at a more competitive locals later today, so we'll see how this ends up going on afterwards. Also, if you want the physical deck list of this instead of just having to watch the video, I am now uploading most of my lists over on PokemonCard.io, link down in the description for each deck list, so make sure you check all that out and get all that ready to go on there. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So we're going to rock out with 2-2 Palkia VSTAR line. We've got the Origin form, Palkia V here, 220 HP. Rule the region and Hydro Break. You're not really often going to attack with either of those, but in some situations you could potentially attack with a Hydro Break. And then we've got the V-Star. We're playing a 2-2 line total, 280 HP here, Subspace Well, 60 plus, 20 times for every benched Pokemon, yours and your opponent's, and the broken ability Star Portal to be able to attach energy from your discard pile to your water Pokemon. This thing's insane. You know it. We all know it. We all love Palkia. And then we're rocking a 2-2 Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX line. We've got two of the V here with Pierce and Glacial Lance. Never really going to use either of those. Maybe Pierce early game. And of course, the VMAX 320 HP. Right of the High King for two colorless, 10 plus, 30 more for every one of their benched Pokemon. Can get some cheeky, easy KOs or finish something off. But the big star of the deck here really is the Max Lance, 10 plus, 120 for every energy you discard up to 2. So you can hit for 250 with this, 280 with the belt, 310 with the Leon, and it just gets there. Continuing on with more Pokemon, we're rocking a 2-2 Bibarel line for Industrious Incisors. That way you can draw your hand up to 5 cards, play your hand down, and then just refill with this. We're not playing the Inteleon engine because it's a little too tight for everything else that we're trying to do with this list, but this just works out really well. And it's honestly, it's a little bit different because, I mean, honestly, like if you look at the last couple videos, other than like Darkrai, everything I've played has had Inteleon in it. So it's just a nice break from the Inteleon engine. I love the Inteleon engine, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing it by any means, but just being able to play Bibarel a little bit with something else and a VMAX, it's a nice refresher for me, honestly. Continuing on, we've got a few more support Pokemon. We've got a Manaphy here for the bench barrier, basically with that Wave Veil, protect your benched Pokemon from any damage. There's been a lot more Urshifu floating around, thanks to like Jake Gearhart and such popularizing it on Twitter. So just protecting myself from some Gmax rapid flows, and of course also early game punishing. You can get hit by their Radiant Greninja with that Moonlight Shuriken. We're also playing, of course, we're playing our own Radiant Greninja for concealed cards, discard a Water Energy and draw 2. You know, it doesn't have to be a Water Energy, but this deck is Water Energy, so it just fits the whole forecast here. And yeah, Moonlight Shuriken can snipe 90 on 2 of their Pokemon. And last but not least, we're playing a Crobat V for the Dark Asset, just to draw some cards up early game, and or maybe find that single copy of Battle Pass or Iridia to find the Battle Passes. And speaking of Iridia, we're rocking 3 copies. Search your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card, reveal and put them in your hand. This is insane. You can grab your V-Star, your V, your VMAX, your Greninja, your Manaphy, your whatever. And then you can grab your Battle Pass, you can grab your Cross Switchers. Yeah, we'll get to the rest of the list. But this card is absolutely insane. If I can make room for a 4th one, I'm 100% going to put a 4th one in here. More supporters, though. We are rocking 3 copies of Melanie. Attach a Water Energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon V and draw 3 cards. So this just keeps both of these attackers rolling in general. And then for the rest of the supporters, we've got 1 copy of Marnie. Shuffle your hands, put them on the bottom of the deck. You get 5, they get 4. Pretty straightforward. We are playing Roxanne. Once late game happens, say for example your first attacker is a Calyrex VMAX, they knock it out. They go to 3 prizes. You can then Roxanne them down to 2 cards in hand. Roxanne Path is super strong. Sometimes it feels like it's a lie though, and it just doesn't pay off completely, but this is definitely a really good inclusion here. We are playing a copy of Silene. This is definitely one of the cards that I saw that Frank played that really looked cool in this list, and it makes a lot of sense to be able to reuse and abuse things, especially with Industrious Incisors. If you flip 2 heads and you have a small hand, Industrious Incisors, you just get whatever cards you put from the discard pile into the top of the deck into your hand that turn. It's pretty powerful here. And the last supporter, we're playing one copy of Leon to Math Fix. It honestly, Leon works really good with Calyrex and Palkia to just Math Fix a lot of damage. So really enjoying Leon here. Makes a lot of sense, and it helps you get to that 310 with the Calyrex in a belt. So pretty solid, pretty solid. Continuing on, we've got 4 Quick Ball, pretty straightforward, and 4 Ultra Ball. Nothing really to explain on these. You guys know what these cards do by now. If you don't know what those cards do by now, then maybe we need to do like a beginner video. Let me know in the comments below if there's some sort of like beginner video, how to deck build or how to get inspiration or whatever series. Or let me know. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to expand our horizons a little bit more. And then continuing on, we've got 1 copy of Battle Pass. You really don't need a lot unless you're playing like just straight Palkia, where your bench size matters a lot more. But this is really good turn 1, especially if you're going second and you find Iridia. This just sets you up for so much more in the game. We're rocking 2 copies of Capacious Bucket. Search deck for 2 water energy, put them in your hand. This helps you fuel up the Melanie. It helps you fuel up the Palkia VSTAR, VSTAR power, and then Greninja can just use and abuse these energy cards as well. And then we're rocking 4 copies of Cross Switcher. That's pretty good. Being able to pivot around and take out a gusted target feels super good. You can be really aggressive with these or very conservative. And what's cool too with Silene, if you ever have to pitch one early, you can at least put it back on top of your deck with Silene. So theoretically, in a turn, you can flip heads and draw cards with Silene and Bibarel. You can use Cross Switcher a few times in a game. It's pretty cool. Give it a little bit of speed. We got 3 copies of Trekking Shoes. Keep in mind that, I've talked about this in the podcast, but Trekking Shoes is pushing a little over $1 a piece on TCGplayer on average now. So if you don't have your copies of Trekking Shoes, definitely consider getting them before they continue to blow up. But yeah, look at the top card of your deck. You can put it in your hand or discard it, and if you discard it, take the next card. So this can discard some energy, can discard pieces you don't necessarily need. Like late game Battle Pass, just get rid of it. Oh, I don't want a Quick Ball, I want the next card maybe. Trekking Shoes is really good here. Continuing on, tool cards, we've got 2 copies of Choice Belt, damage modifier, 30 more damage to your opponent's Pokemon V. Again, that just really gets there with the 2 of these attackers. We've got 1 copy of Tool Jammer. This is to prevent balloon shenanigans, prevent their Choice Belt. This stops the Zeraora in the liminal deck from being able to KO your Palkia VSTAR. They do play Scrapper, and they can probably just be smart and hold the Scrapper. That's what I've done in those situations with liminal deck. That link will be up in the corner on the iCard if you want to take a look at that deck, but please do. This is just a good inclusion. It could potentially get cut if we see more Scrapper and whatnot just develop through the metagame as we continue on closer to Worlds. And last tool card, we have an Air Balloon to be able to pivot. Everybody's got a 2 retreat cost except for Crobat, Greninja, and Manaphy. So this just gets you a pivot, and it combos really well with Cross Switcher as well. Last item card, we have a Canceling Clone. This is to get through Miltank, and with this and Silene, if you need to go through multiple Miltanks, you could potentially just flip heads on the Silene, put it back on top of the deck, draw it out with Bibarel, and go through again. Pretty straightforward. Stadium cards, we're rocking 3 copies of Path to the Peak. Shut off abilities on Vs. The only V abilities we really have here are Crobat and Palkia VSTAR. Keep in mind, this also turns off your Greninja, your Radiant Greninja, all your opponent's Radiant Pokemon. So if you expect to see Radiant Charizard, you could Path them and hope they can't get there to get that KO. Path Jammer against the Radiant Charizard seems to be pretty solid. That way they can't just, attach the tool and hit you for 280 on the dot after you get late game. So really good here. Slows your opponent down, and after you use your Star Portal, you're pretty much ready to go anyway. So last stadium, we've got a Collapse Stadium. You eat some bench space. This is good to get rid of your Crobat or something that's been damaged that you don't need for the rest of the game. But this can also slow your opponent down if you're playing against like a Palkia Mirror. You don't really necessarily need to go crazy with bench. You can just attack with Calyrex, and this will throttle their damage a little bit. And then finally, 8 energy cards, 8 basic water. That's just the way works. You can maybe consider going to 7 and putting the bucket up to 3 if you really want to, but 8 has felt really solid. You find them enough, you have the bucket to search for them, you get them into the discard pile, and you rock and roll. But that is the deck list. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll get tons of more Pokemon content. I am considering doing some Digimon deck profiles. I know we did one of our buddy Brandon, who got 10th at regionals. I'm considering doing just some of the decks that I've built for fun, casually. I have casual, fun Digimon decks that I play. I don't necessarily play it super competitive, so it just might be something on the side, potentially, as we're still making that push to YouTube partner. We need the watched hours to get there. So if you don't mind watching some videos in the background or put a playlist on, I would much appreciate it. But that'll do it for me. I hope you enjoyed the deck profile here. Don't forget, like I said, like, comment, and subscribe. If you need PTCGL codes, check out Guardian Gaming TCGs. Use code STUPID for 15% off your entire purchase there. Instant delivery. Super nice. Pretty reasonable prices as well. Doesn't make it a lot harder, honestly. I can't think of anything else. But yeah, keep an eye out for more Pokemon content, and don't forget the list will be down in the description to the link over to PokemonCard.io, so you can import this to PTCGO if you need be. But that'll do it for me, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.